When I was approached to think about the Chinese massacre, I was like, I know it happened, I know it was bad, but that's kind of it.
I only learned about this event literally less than a year ago.
If you don't know the history of your own people, you're kind of left without this context.
I really want to learn about it, and I'm excited to do so, but also a little bit nervous and scared as to how my perspectives may change based on what I learned today.
People forget that there was a struggle and that there still is a struggle going on today.
We are standing right on Los Angeles Street. This is where the Chinese massacre started. It would have been right there. What we have now is this plaque which memorializes what occurred 145 years ago. Chinese had been easily identified. They were not well liked. They were looked upon as being a threat to the economy, to jobs. Right now we're standing above the Los Angeles Mall. This is where the Elan Wagon store was. 4 of the folks were taken right here. And you know those wagons, it was like a repair shop. And so the wagons were tilted up on one end, and then that was used as an area to drop the rope and lynch the person. So it's sort of ironic that right across the street from the federal office building is the location where a number of folks got lynched.
I keep thinking about my parents and how they immigrated here in a different time, but if they had been here 145 years back, this just could have been their fate.
We literally just saw in the news recently that someone wrote an article that they were still being yelled at to go back to China.
The fact that you can kind of just erase such an event like that, it's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of fucking upsetting that you can just forget that this happened and put a federal building on it.
We are now where the Thomason Corral was. The balance of the hangings occurred right here. Ironically, we're standing at the entry to the Hall of Justice.
I didn't know it was that bad.
I think Chinese Americans just don't like to talk about that. I think we like to pretend that, like Leo said, everything's okay, that we've made it, we're part of the dream. That could easily happen today. That does easily happen today. That same fear, that same language, that same we all look the same mentality.
When they were reading the names, every hit of the gong, it just felt so jarring to me. I would picture, the upright wagon and each person literally being lynched.
What stood out to me the most when they were reading out the names at the candlelight vigil were how familiar the names sounded. They sounded like people that I could know.
I didn't know that it was the largest lynching in US history. I can see history repeating itself. Like, you see people being killed for who they are today, and that is just a sign to me that we're not learning as much as we should be as humans,
You still hear, oh, they're taking our jobs. So how much has really changed?
I feel inspired, honestly, just to see the folks over at the Chinese American Museum and everyone that showed up to the event today that clearly cared about history and cared about preserving our heritage and our culture and never allowing our communities to forget the things that happened to us.
I feel pride now for how resilient our people have been and are.